Hi friends, I'm Kate. I am on junior high staff. I serve as the 8th grade ladies director currently, and I'm super excited to be getting to know the 6th grade ladies as well, since I will be your new director as you step into junior high. And welcome to all the 7th graders, all the guys. It's good to have you guys here. We're continuing in our Welcome Up series where our staff is taking a moment to pretend like we are at an 8th grade graduation ceremony and we are sharing our words of wisdom for you as you move forward in life. But that doesn't mean that it's not applicable to the 6th and the 7th graders. All of us are moving up to a different grade. All of us are moving to a new phase in our life constantly. So I just want to encourage you to lean in, to listen in, take notes, and see what the Lord has for you. So I just wanted to start with my words of wisdom of just kind of this excitement of looking ahead and going where it is that we get to go and just imagining the possibilities, whether this is you're finishing your first year in junior high or you're finishing your last year in junior high. It's pretty exciting to know like you've got a year under your belt, you've got 3 years under your belt, you're going into high school. It's a really neat time to look forward to being someone different, being yourself on purpose, maybe making changes from who you once were, challenging yourself, meeting new friends. There's so many opportunities that moving into a new part of our life can be. As a matter of fact, it kind of reminds me of like a book. If our lives are a book, then it's a new chapter. We're turning a page. Or if it's an album, if you love listening to music, it's like going to the next track and going, okay, what's this gonna sound like? Or, I mean, if you're like me, it's like a Netflix episode when you've been watching for so long and it goes, are you still watching? You're going, heck yeah, Netflix, play my episode. What's the next episode for you? What are the years ahead? What are the days? What do the months ahead have for you? Well, here's what I want to just kind of sit back and ponder with you, is that if we're going to look ahead and we're going to say, this is who I want to be, then doesn't it make a lot of sense to be able to look behind us and remember where we've come from in the first place? Maybe you haven't even realized how much you've changed or developed or matured over this last year. Maybe even over these last 10 weeks in quarantine. Have you changed? Would your family say that you're the same person that you were when you first came into quarantine as when you came out? Some of you might look back at younger classes and go, oh my goodness, was I like that? Heck yeah, you probably were. And that's the beauty of growing up. That's the beauty of different phases of our life, is that we get to see how much we have grown and how far we have come. So I first want to just encourage us individually to remember. And as a matter of fact, there's an entire chapter in Acts 7 that the Lord just puts on Stephen, one of the apostles' hearts, as he's being, he's in like a court of law and they've asked him, why is it that you keep talking about Jesus? And he doesn't just go to the beginning of Jesus's life, he goes all the way back to the first book in the Old Testament. He remembers why it's so important to know who Jesus is. He remembers how much has changed, how much has built up to get him to where he is right now. And it's the exact same thing for us. Look back at yourself at the beginning of 6th grade. How have you changed? Are you proud of the accomplishments you've made? Do you feel like you've maybe not been taking advantage of your time? Have you been purposeful with choosing your friends? Have you been purposeful about showing up to church, showing up to small groups, and investing in community? Or have you just been the person that shows up and goofs off and distracts people? Have you taken the opportunity to come to church and learn about Christ? Have you taken the opportunity to go home and dig into scripture yourself and go, who is this Jesus guy that they keep talking about? Are you proud of the times where your anger has outburst from you? Are you proud of the times when you've talked about your friend behind their back? Are you proud of the times that you've stood up for your friend? There's so many things for us to go back and reflect on and remember. And I want to encourage you. It's so important to remember what's behind us, to look back in our rear view mirror so that we can look ahead. And so that when we make those choices and those goals to accomplish over these next couple years ahead of us, that we know what it is we're up against, and we know what we need to correct, and we know what we need to keep pursuing. So whether you're chatting with a friend and you're just externally processing it like I love to do, whether you're journaling, whether you're just sitting quietly and just talking to God and going, what is this? Do it. It's so worth it. And then ultimately, I really want to let all of you know, if you didn't know already, our God, this great and marvelous sovereign creator who allows so many things to happen that we maybe don't understand, quarantine, case in point, is that he's not just a God that is far away, that is distant, that has planned out the future. He has been behind us. He's been way ahead of us already. And yet he calls himself the I am. In Exodus 3:14, he introduces himself to a huge character in the Bible, Moses. And he says, I am, I am. I am right here. He is the God who was, who is, and who is to come. But he is walking right here beside us. As we move forward through 7th grade, through 8th grade, as we step into high school, the time is going to pass, whether you want it to or not. But are you going to take advantage of it? Are you going to let this time pass purposefully? Are you going to be proud of the time you used? Or are you going to wish that maybe you had started 3 months earlier? Or maybe you had wished that you had never started something in the first place. Maybe there's things that we need to correct, things that we need to give up. I want to encourage you to lean into the God that is right here next to us. That if we surrender, he's walking that path alongside us and giving us so much wisdom along the way. You guys are going to do great. I really look forward to seeing you more, building community with you, and walking this road along with you.
Hey everyone, it's Garrett, and I want to talk to you guys today about something I wish I understood better when I was in middle school, when I was in high school. And this is going to apply for everyone watching, whether you are about to be a 7th grader, whether you're about to be the big dogs on campus, you're going to be an 8th grader, or whether you're going to be taking that big step and going into high school. Wherever you are, I want to give you this wisdom, or I want to talk to you about this because I feel like it will take this burden off of your shoulder if you choose to dive into it, if you choose to let it be part of your life. And I wish I understood it better when I was your age. And this thing that I wish I understood better was this idea of not playing the game of trying to be the best, of not succumbing to the rules of this performance culture that we live in. You see, our culture is obsessed with trying to be the best. You can see it everywhere. You can go on TikTok and you can see that people are trying to get famous. They're trying to, hey, blow up this video because they're trying to get famous. They're trying to be known. Or you can go on YouTube and there's tutorial after tutorial after tutorial of how to be the best at something. Or when it comes to your guys' school, you guys can see it. Your friends or people you know that are trying to get the best grades. They're trying to be the best athlete and do whatever it takes to do that. They're trying to be the one person that their teacher loves the most. Or they're just trying to be the best child and make their parents proud of them. Whatever it is, you guys can look at it in so many areas of life and see that our culture is obsessed with performance, is obsessed with trying to be the best. And there's nothing wrong with being the best. There's nothing wrong with performing well. But when it becomes our identity, when it becomes everything, when it becomes the only reason we are living life, is when it becomes a problem. 2 reasons why. First reason is it breeds a prideful heart. This performance culture naturally breeds a prideful heart. And a prideful heart is one that says, I'm better than you. One that looks down on other people. A heart that oppresses someone for not being like them. It breeds a prideful heart. And second is that it's exhausting. It takes a toll on us because you will never be the best for forever. You may succeed one day, but then you're going to have to prove yourself the next day and the next day and the next day. You're never going to get to the end. You're always going to be chasing. And you're going to find yourself asking these questions. And I know I asked myself these questions almost every day of, man, did I perform well enough to pass that class? Did I perform well enough to make the team? Did I perform well enough to make my parents proud? And it becomes exhausting. And it puts so much anxiety and stress on our shoulders that we didn't need to put there in the first place. But it's the only way, and it's the only way to live that we know how, it seems like. There's a celebrity named Madonna that sums this up perfectly. She says, "My drive in life comes from a fear of being mediocre. That is always pushing me. I push past one spell of it and discover myself as a special human being. But then I feel I am still mediocre and uninteresting unless I do something else. Because even though I have become somebody, I still have to prove that I am somebody. My struggle has never ended, and I guess it never will." So Madonna understands this. She's like, I'm living in this constant circle of being the best, but then having to prove myself again. Being the best, having to prove myself again. And it's a never-ending cycle. And it's exhausting. And I believe that the world doesn't know any other way. And I believe that we don't think that there is any other way either to live. It's like, well, this is what you do. You just try to be the best, right? You try to be the best that you can be in life, and then that's it. But I'm here to say that there's another way to live. And that way is a way that Jesus offered us, that Christ offered us. Christ offers us to step out of that game and not play it, and gave us another way to live life that is more fulfilling. And it talks about it in Matthew 20 when Jesus tells about the parable of the workers. And it says this: "For the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire workers for his vineyard. He agreed to pay them a denarius for the day and sent them into his vineyard. About 9 a.m, he went out and saw others standing in the marketplace doing nothing. He told them, 'You also go and work in my vineyard, and I will pay you whatever is right.' So they went. He went out again at noon, and about 3 in the afternoon and did the same thing. About 5 in the afternoon, he went out and found still others standing around. He asked them, 'Why have you been standing here all day long doing nothing?' 'Because no one has hired us,' they answered. He said to them, 'You also go work in my vineyard.' When evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his foreman, 'Call the workers and pay them their wages, beginning with the last one hired and going to the first.' The workers who were hired around 5 in the afternoon came and each received a denarius. So when those came who were hired first, they expected to receive more. But each of them also received a denarius. When they received it, they began to grumble against the landowner. 'These who were hired last only worked 1 hour,' they said, 'and you have made them equal to us, who have borne the burden of work in the heat of the day?' But he answered one of them, 'I am not being unfair to you, friend. Didn't you agree to work for a denarius? Take your pay and go. I want to give the one who hired last the same as I gave you. Don't I have the right to do what I want with my own money? Or are you envious because I am generous?' So the last will be first, and the first will be last." So I think in this parable, Jesus paints this picture of these people that worked a lot and they performed well and they did everything that they were supposed to do, and then people that didn't really perform and they were there for only an hour, and yet both of them received the same thing. See, Jesus is saying it's not about performing. It's not about doing well. It's not about being the best. Well, then what is it about? Well, it's about serving. At the end of the day, it's about loving the people around you and serving the people around you. And I think an incredible picture of this that sums this up perfectly is from the movie Cars. Now, Cars is a movie about a racer named Lightning McQueen. And Lightning McQueen, at the beginning of the movie, you see that he's all about trying to win. He's all about trying to be the best. He's all about trying to perform and beat everyone and be at the top above everyone. And as the movie goes on, he ends up at Radiator Springs. And throughout the movie, he starts to see that there's more to life than winning. There's more to life than trying to be the best. And it comes down to the last race at the end of the movie. For the Piston Cup, the one thing he's been training for his whole entire life. And they're racing, he's in the lead, it's coming down to the last lap, and he's got it in the bag. And then all of a sudden, he looks up at the screen and he sees the other car, King, get wrecked. Like he has this huge wipeout because of another racer, and on the screen you see him tumbling and just going everywhere, and he finally lands and he's totally beat up. He can't move, he can't finish the race. And Lightning McQueen sees that on the screen, and there's a moment that he looks up and he's like, what? He's almost at the finish line. He's going to win it. And right at the last second, he skids and he comes to a halt right at the finish line. And the other racer passes him and he wins the Piston Cup. And the crowd is silent. Wait, what did Lightning McQueen just do? He just gave up the race. He gave up the Piston Cup. What's going on? And the crowd is stunned. And Lightning McQueen is standing there or sitting there. And he just thinks for a second. And he slowly backs up. And he turns around and he goes over to King that's just laying there in the grass. And he goes behind King and he starts pushing him towards the finish line. And King's astonished. What are you doing? And the crowd's like, what is he doing? And he pushes him past the finish line. And Lightning McQueen ends up getting third and not winning the Piston Cup, the one thing he wanted most. He gave up his spotlight. He gave up being the best in order to serve someone, in order to love someone. If there's one thing I want you to understand when you go back to school, it's to choose to serve and to love people over trying to be the best and performing. Serving and loving people will be fulfilling. If you have chosen to give God your life, if you have chosen to give God permission to take control of your heart, and you have started on this journey of transformation, when you go back to school, you are going to choose to serve because you are going to start to see another way to live. You're going to start to see a better way to live. And you're going to start choosing to serve people over the spotlight, over trying to be the best. You're going to choose to be kinder to the opponents when you're playing them on your sports team rather than being mean to them all for the sake of trying to win. You're going to choose to be respectful to your teachers instead of trying to get a laugh out of your classmates and disrespecting them. You're going to choose your true friends and to be nice to those who are not nice to you, because at the end of the day, you're here to serve and you're not trying to be the best. You're not trying to be the most popular. You're just trying to serve. I hope you take this to heart because it's something I wish I knew. And it's going to take such a big burden off your shoulder if you learn and understand that you don't need to play this game of being the best. You don't need to live the way this performance culture lives. You can live the way that Christ has offered us.
Hey, what's up, junior high? My name is Sean Brazil. Others call me Sean Breezy, and I work with 910. I'm one of the men's directors for both 9th and 10th grade, and I love what I do. It's absolutely one of my favorite parts of what I get to do in life right now, and it absolutely excites me, and excited to bring some more dudes into our ministry. But yeah, I'm so pumped on the series that you guys are walking in. It was fun even to watch the last 5 little avenues of wisdom that have been given to you from a handful of your staff and a couple of our staff. And yeah, I'm so excited to share with you guys today. And even just looking at the prompt, I was like, man, like what is that one thing that I would want to share with you guys as you come on up into 9-10 and as you transition and graduate into a new season of life. And I think so often one of the greatest things to share is something that you're currently learning. And I think the last year and a half has been a lot of my life sitting in a conversation that I had with Austin Payne, who is the high school pastor for 9-10. You guys heard from him 2 weeks ago, but he's also a mentor and a really good friend of mine. And I remember we were just sitting out in the water one day, and we love to surf, so a lot of our friendship and work life happens while surfing. We just have a lot of conversations and talk a lot of life in the water, and just sat with him and just kind of walked through a season of life where I just kind of felt like I had plateaued in my like walk with God. And I just felt like I was always trying, and I was like showing up to places, trying not to sin, or it just felt so effortful for me. And I remember just sitting with him and just being like, what's that about? Like, why do I feel this way? What's like, have you ever been in this season? And I remember he just sat with me. He's like, dude, Christianity is not about doing less bad things. It's about believing less false things. And I think that would really be the encouragement that I give you guys, especially as the last year and a half of my life has been walking in that statement and walking in that truth. And right before that, like I said, I had lived so much of my life before knowing Jesus, just believing that the world was enough, that it was gonna like fulfill me, that getting a relationship, that messing around with girls, or like that being a good athlete or being a smart student or anything, I really believed that the world was gonna do the trick. And after a few years of doing that and walking and chasing after these things that the world said, this will give you life and this will take care of you and this will bring you fulfillment, found that wasn't true. We'll get to the end of my day and just go, man, there's gotta be more to life than this. And kind of through a chasing of that, ended up in a relationship with Jesus my senior year of high school, and a big pivot in my life there, right? It was an awesome moment for me where I had learned about grace and love and the forgiveness of Jesus and all of that, and began a relationship with him. But the next kind of chapter of that was now trying to re-hardwire myself to counter the whole lifestyle that I had learned before that, and going, okay, I'm not going to be worldly anymore. I'm not going to do these sins that I used to partake in. And as I kind of walked in that, my life began to look like just trying not to do bad things all the time, trying not to do the old things, trying not to walk back into old habits and patterns of life. And I got to probably 5 years into my walk and just was exhausted, going, God, like I just feel like I'm constantly trying not to do bad things. I'm constantly just resisting my old ways. And I think even part of me believed that, right, like if I did that well enough, God would love me more. I thought that like if I just didn't do bad things all the time, that, man, like I would be good with God, and that as I did less bad things, that he would love me more. And I just like was exhausted. It was really the word that I felt was exhausted in my walk. And yeah, I think even a part of me in that season believed, right, like as much as I tried not to do things, I still failed. And I think that even in the midst of that resistance and that struggle and that battle, there was still a small part of me that believed like, well, like maybe the world still is fun though. Maybe there is still something to be found there. Maybe there is fulfillment. Maybe there is satisfaction still in the world. And that made that fight even more difficult, is believing that, well, I know I'm not supposed to, but it like kind of makes me feel good sometimes. Or like if I just talk to this person, or if I just do this one thing, or if I watch this thing, like maybe I'll just feel good for a moment and then I'll have to come back to it again, right? Its capacity to actually fulfill me didn't really exist, but I believe that like part of it could. So yeah, that was the season I found myself in. And I remember just sitting with Austin and him going, dude, Christianity is not about doing less bad things. It's about believing less false things. And I just asked him, like, what does that entirely mean, right? Like, it sounds really cool, but like, what does it actually look like to believe less false things? And in that, we talked about this passage, John 10:10, which you'll hear all the time in 9-10. It is one of our favorite verses. It is the the verse that we want students to know about, to hear, and to know, like, this is what Jesus came to do. And John 10:10 says that the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but I have come that they may have life and life abundant. And those are Jesus's words there, saying, the world has come to kill, steal, and destroy, but I have come to give them life. And what a gnarly picture. He goes, the world and its capacity to take care of you, it's just going to steal, kill, and destroy you, right? And maybe not literally in that sense, but to our souls, to our like spiritual beings that we are, the world will destroy us, right? It may come off as like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, it's just a dating relationship. It's just pornography. It's just X, Y, and Z, right? And maybe it doesn't feel that bad, but the reality is that it's eating away at our soul. And even the more that you just try and resist, right? Even that resistance is painful. And Jesus goes, it's not about doing the less bad things. It's about believing that my way is better, that I have come to give you life. And that life comes from following me and experiencing the freedom that I'm offering you. And man, that would be my encouragement for you guys as you come up into a new season of life. And even for you 7th and 6th graders that maybe are checking this out as well, right? Our encouragement for you would be like, don't wait, start now. Like, as you transition into a new season of life, understand that there is real freedom and real life to be found in a relationship with Jesus. Hey, we're so excited to meet you guys and to bring you on up here into 910 soon. Thanks so much for hearing me out. Love you guys. Catch you around.